So again, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our workshop, which is organized by CEF eSignature. The objective of the workshop is to present the notification features of the EU Trust Services dashboard. As you may already know, the duration of the workshop is 2 hours. We will start today by introducing you some instructions for this workshop. Please remain muted and keep your cameras off during the session. If you have any questions, you can use the chat in WebEx, and we will dedicate some time at the end of the session to answer them. The last point that I would like to mention is that this session will be recorded. Now let me present you the speakers of today's workshop, Mr. Apostolos Apladas, who is the eSignature product owner, and Mr. Xavier Soul, who is the eSignature consultant. We can start with the presentation of today's agenda. So Xavier, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sofia. So thank you everyone for being here today. I think for some of you, we already met a lot these two last weeks. So maybe you will see something that you already seen this last week, but I hope it will be interesting for you. We'll go into more details today about the different information that can be notified via the EU Trust Services dashboard. Yeah, I suggest that I present you the agenda. So first we'll introduce you the EU Trust Service dashboard as usual. Then presentation of the EU Trust Service dashboard, but in more details with all the tools that are included in this dashboard. Then all the types of lists that are currently supported by the EU Trust Service dashboard, and also the flow. So from the notification to the publication of this information. Then the next step. So the next step of the EU Trust Service dashboard, what will be included, what will be supported, and so on. And finally, a discussion on the EU Trust Service dashboard and some answering about all the questions you may have. So about the introduction. I'd like to begin with all the events that are organized by CEF eSignature. So here is an event dedicated for the eIDAS notifiers. So the eIDAS notifiers are the representatives from the member states which are mandated to notify information on the Chapter 3 trust services of the eIDAS regulation. So if you have been invited today, it's because we identified you as eIDAS notifiers, because you probably already notified some information to the European Commission. And we also provide some events for the trusted list scheme operators, the TLSOs, and the users of DSS as well. So DSS is a library, a Java library to create and validate electronic signature. If you are not aware of this library, I invite you to look for more information via the CEF eSignature website, or contact us directly via the service desk. So about all the events that have been organized so far. On the 24th June, there was the DSS webinar for the advanced user, because previously there was a DSS webinar, like a kind of introduction on this library. And so during the event, during the DSS webinar for the advanced users, of course, have been presented the advanced feature of the library, as well as the best practices when using DSS. Then on the 25th of June, there was the TLSO workshop on the new TL manager. So I think some of you participated to this workshop. In fact, it was the TLSOs that participated to this workshop. And so we presented during this workshop the new TL manager that is now available in the EU Trust Services dashboard, and you should have access to it already now. Today is the workshop for the eIDAS notifiers. So it's a training for the participant, the notification feature of the EU Trust Services dashboard. So in fact, all the representatives of the member state mandated to notify information, and in particular the information on the Chapter 3 trust services of eIDAS regulation. There will be a TLSO training in September or October. So as usual, a TLSO training about the practices and the business and administrative use cases on how to edit the trusted list. Then on October, there will be the TL quality sprint, a new TL quality sprint. There were already some TL quality sprint which happened beginning of this year and last year as well. So it's a campaign to reduce all types of non-conformances in some trusted list via individual calls, and in particular with my colleague Jean-Emmanuel. And in December, there will be a new TSS training for which the agenda has to be defined. There was also some marketing campaigns that are in fact a big part of the eSignature efforts to create awareness and interest in the trust services. So last year there was the eSignature and e-healthcare sector after COVID-19, and last year there was also the eSignature for higher education institutions. So now about the EU Trust Service Dashboard. As it has been already presented 2 weeks ago in version 1.0 of the Trust Service Dashboard, so the version that has been released at the beginning of the year, there was multiple features. First, a home page, of course, and a discover page in which you can browse interesting information and FAQ on the portal, but as well on the information that are displayed in this portal. Then there is also the well-known Trusted List browser. So it's a user-friendly display of the eIDAS trusted list and the list of trusted list, the total, which is useful for the end users that are looking, in fact, for a kind of catalog of the eIDAS trust services. So in fact, if an end user is looking for a qualified certificate to create a qualified electronic signature, he can look for providers using this tool. Then about the notification tool, which is in fact the topic of today, it's user-friendly and filter browsing of the information related to eIDAS trust services, so the Chapter 3 of eIDAS. Previously, the notification on the information were notified by email and then published PDF format on the Futorium, but now it has changed. The notification has become more formal. The process is more formal via this EU Trust Services dashboard, and the notifier can use some structured forms to notify this information. We'll cover this formal process later during this workshop, and as well as the different types of lists. Then, once the information has been notified, it is first verified by the European Commission and eventually published by, again, an official of the European Commission. Then there is also the eSignature validation test cases. It is some test cases for the electronic signature solutions implementers. So for the technical people to test whether their solution, their eSignature solution, is working well, properly. In fact, this tool provides several test cases, some signed files that are signed with an advanced electronic signature. Some of them are signed with qualified electronic signature. We also provide some fake trusted list, and we also indicate what should be the result when validating this signature. So we can give an advanced electronic signature and say at the end, this signature should be validated as an advanced electronic signature or a qualified one. And so it really provides some test cases for all the eSignature solution implementers to test whether their solution is validating the signature properly. Then there is as well the TL quality indicators. So it's a tool for the European Commission. It is internal for the European Commission to measure the evolution and the quality of the trusted list. And so this then all the charts that are available from this tool are sometimes displayed during the workshop to show the evolution of the trusted list framework and the quality as well. There is also a centralized admin space. So previously, all these tools were available on different locations, and all these tools were managed via a different admin interface. Now there is a single admin interface to manage the access to all of these applications. Now the version 1.1 has been released, in fact, 2 weeks ago, which included the TM manager that has been already covered 2 weeks ago during the TLSO workshop. So I won't go too much into detail here. So the TM manager is the tool for the TLSOs to edit, sign, and generate, and as well notify changes related to the management of their trusted list. So for example, if the location of the trusted list is changed, they can notify this location via the TM manager. And so this new version of the TM manager has a lot of great improvements. So for example, there is no My TLSO space, space that is really dedicated to the TLSO, where you can see all the notification, all the information that has been notified to the European Commission, and as well have a status on this trusted list. The user interface is a lot more business oriented to provide a better understanding of the TL edition, because we know that a trust list is sometimes very difficult to edit. It's very technical. There is technical standards that have a lot of pages. So we try to make the edition of the trust list easier and get rid of all the technical aspects that may not be useful for the TLSO directly. So in line with this business-oriented user interface, now the trust list can be edited using use cases. So before the TLSO has to edit the trust list like an XML file, now the TLSO just have to provide sufficient information for a given use case, and the TM manager will do the rest. There is also the sharing of the draft trusted list with other people, such as the co-workers and the support team. And finally, the management of the trust list is now available on mobile devices because the interface is much more responsive. So now let's talk about more in detail about the notification tool, and in particular here all the lists that are currently supported in the EU Trust Services dashboard. So we'll go one by one through all these lists. First of all, about the national accreditation bodies. So these national accreditation bodies are defined in regulation number 765 2008. So a national accreditation body, or NAB, is the sole body, a member state that performs the accreditation with the authority derived from the state. So a national accreditation body is in fact the national institution that usually attests the competence and impartiality of a conformity assessment body, according to international standards such as ISO or ETSI standards. So in fact, for this list, there is no obligation in the eIDAS regulation or any other regulation here. In fact, for the member state to notify again the national accreditation body, they would have already notified to the Commission and published by the European Accreditation, so the EA, because there is already the EA website which contains all this information in line with the type and scope of MLA the national accreditation bodies have signed. Here, the purpose of this information this information about the national accreditation bodies in the EU Trust Service dashboard is really to provide information about the accreditation of eIDAS conformity assessment bodies. So it's not mandatory, but it's for national accreditation bodies or supervisory body collaborate, like cooperate and provide information on how they accredit the conformity assessment bodies. So as it is not defined in the regulation, here there is no like notifier that are defined, but of course the people that are the most are well positioned to notify this kind of information are the national accreditation bodies itself. Sometimes it can be up to the supervisory body to notify this information. It depends on how it is organized at the national level. Then there is the list of eIDAS conformity assessment bodies. So a conformity assessment body or a CAB is a body that performs conformity assessment activities, including calibration, testing, certification, and inspection. And in the context of eIDAS, conformity assessment bodies is further defined as a body which is accredited by the national accreditation body as competent to carry out the conformity assessment body, the conformity assessment, sorry, of a qualified trust service provider and the qualified trust services it provides. So again, there is no obligation to notify the European Commission on the conformity assessment bodies they have been accredited under eIDAS. Here is the purpose of showing this information on the EU Trust Services dashboard is to give to trust service provider information on which conformity assessment body they could contact to be granted as qualified at the national level. So here there is no obligation to notify this list. It's not mandatory, and there is no notifier defined. But in practice, it's usually the national accreditation body which notify this information, because these are the bodies which accredited the CABs. But sometimes it can also be the supervisory body. Depends on the organization at the national level. Then there are the qualified electronic signature seal creation devices, or QSCD, and also the secure signature creation devices. So this SSCD benefiting from the transitional measure set in the Article 51.1 of the eIDAS regulation. And so it is stressed that the notification of the eIDAS certification or the cancellation of the eIDAS certification of such devices should occur without a delay and no later than 1 month after the certification is concluded or cancelled. So for this information, this is mandatory to notify it, because it's mandatory by Article 31.1 of eIDAS, and the notifiers, as defined in eIDAS, are the member states. So it can be seen as little blur here. Who is the member state? Who is the representative of the member state to notify such information? But in practice, it's the supervisory body which notify this information. But of course, depending on the organization at the national level, it can be someone else, as long as it's a representative of the member state who is mandated to notify this information. Then about the designated bodies for the certification of conformity of QSCD and SSCD. So in fact, there are bodies that are designated at the national level for the certification of conformity of the qualified electronic signature creation devices and qualified electronic seal creation devices, but also the body that has been designated previously and that have determined the conformity of the secure signature creation devices. And so these secure signature creation devices that are now benefiting from the transitional measures. So again, this information is mandatory by Article 30 of eIDAS. And again, the notifier is a member state, but in practice, this information is notified by the supervisory body or the bodies having designated these bodies. Depends again on the organization at the national level. Okay, and then about the last list, there is the list, the eIDAS Article 30.3b and 39.2 alternative processes. And so, in fact, according to Article 30.3b and 39.2 of the eIDAS regulation, in the absence of standards for the security assessment for qualified electronic signature and seal creation devices, a process can be used as long as it uses a comparable security level. So all the standards to assess the security of a device are defined in the Commission Implementing Decision 2016 650. But another process, as long as it uses comparable security levels, can be used. And when such a process is used, it has to be notified by the designated bodies to the European Commission to be used in practice. So, and in particular, this process, such alternative processes are notified to the European Commission when certifying remote signature solutions. So when the signature creation data are used on behalf of the signatory by the QTSP. Okay, so these are the lists that are currently supported in the EU Trust Service dashboard. We'll see this list in practice in a few minutes during the demonstration. But now about the process flow. So from the notification to the publication of this information. First, in order to notify an information, the notifier should be first granted access by an administrator of the EU Trust Services dashboard, and this access is granted for a given list of a given country. Currently, the access is requested via the CEF eSignature service desk. Some of you may already ask their access and now have access to the EU Trust Service dashboard. But please note that later this request of access will be more formal. In particular, access will be requested by a representative of a member state via an official letter that will be sent to the Directorate General of Connect, the unit H4, so DG Connect H4. Then, once the notifier has access to the EU Trust Services dashboard, and in particular the notification feature of this EU Trust Service dashboard, this notifier can connect the EU Trust Service dashboard, click on the Notify menu entry, we'll see that in a minute, and choose this list, make the relevant changes in this list, and submit the changes. Once he will do that, he will receive an automated email, and the European Commission will also receive an email saying that a notification has been received and is now pending for review. So who will review this notification? It will be the subject matter expert of the European Commission, and in particular for the trust services, the eIDAS trust services. So the subject matter expert for all that is relevant to the trust services defined in eIDAS. And so this subject matter expert will review the change against usually publicly available information, because usually the information that are notified are publicly available. So the notified information will be reviewed against publicly available information. The SME also verifies the email address of the notifier to be sure that it has been notified by the correct authority, and in particular representative of a member state. And if required, the European Commission may request the notifier for more information, and in this case, the notifier is contacted by email with some question about the notification and some verification. Then, once the notification has been reviewed, the official of DG Connect H4 publishes the change. And once the notification has been published, it can be browsed by the end users on the EU Trust Service dashboard. For your information, there is a user guide that is available on the CEF eSignature website. There is the link here. If you don't find it after the meeting, please don't hesitate to request this link via the service desk. This user guide also includes some guidance on how to create a EU login account and how to configure the two-factor authentication, because here, in order to connect to the EU Trust Service dashboard, a two-factor authentication is required. Okay, so now that we covered the types of list and the process flow as well, it's time for a demo of the EU Trust Service dashboard. So I will share my screen. So you should now see my screen. In fact, here I'm on the EU Trust Service dashboard on the acceptance environment, because I will do some fake notification, and we don't want here this fake notification to be published in production, of course. So here I'm on the home page of the EU Trust Service dashboard. In fact, here are a lot of action cards depending on all the actions I can perform on the EU Trust Service dashboard. Here I'm logging with my EU login account, and in fact I have access to all the features. So that's why I have here a lot of action cards. And if I was not logging, I will only see here the home page button, the discover menu entry, the browse menu entry, and the try menu entry. Here, all this one, I have access to it because I'm logging as Should, and I've been granted the access to these features. So I would like to first cover the different pages that are publicly available. First, there is the Discover page that has been previously introduced. There is here a kind of FAQ about, in fact, what is the EU Trust Service dashboard, what is the EU Trust Services framework. So, in fact, all the informations that are covered in this dashboard are here explained and even represented here. So I will let you post this FAQ later if you want. But so you can see all the information, all the menu entry that are available when I'm logging. I will log again after. Then there is the browse trust list. So in fact, this tool is the trust list browser. So I think you already know this tool. It's the catalog I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, where the user can, the end users can browse the different trust lists in a user-friendly manner, and also can perform some searches. Then there is a first list, which we are interested to during this presentation, the list of the national accreditation bodies and the conformity assessment bodies. So the eIDAS conformity assessment bodies. And so first, there is some important information here. In fact, it's kind of what I just described during the meeting. It's where the national accreditation bodies are defined, whether it's mandatory or not. Same for the conformity assessment bodies. And there is also a download button here, where you can download the list in the XML format at a given time. So here it downloaded the content of this page in the XML format, and later this list will be also downloadable in the PDF format because it's more user-friendly, of course. Okay, here I have some filters on the list. So by country and by name, you can also only show the cab and only show the NAB. And then about the content of each element. For the national accreditation bodies, there is the name, acronym, the URL to the body, the contact email in the context of the eIDAS accreditation, the URL to the eIDAS accreditation scheme, and as well some notes where there can be some notes on the national specificities. Here there is no notes. For the conformity assessment bodies, of course, the name, acronym, URL to body, contact email, the date of accreditation of this body, the date of accreditation expiration when relevant, the URL to the accreditation certificate, so where the end users can browse a certificate which attests that the conformity assessment body is accredited, the different trust services, qualified trust services for which the conformity assessment body is accredited, the accreditation scheme, the URL to the assessment scheme, and so on. And again, the notes. In fact, this notes field is present for all the elements, all the information, again, to provide some specificities, national specificities for this body. Okay. So this is for the list of national accreditation bodies and conformity assessment bodies. And this page, the information is displayed together because, in fact, it's more convenient for the user to have like the conformity assessment bodies and just above which body accredited this conformity assessment bodies. Then there is the compiled list of the qualified signature seal creation devices, as well as the secure signature creation devices. Again, here at the top, an explanation of these devices, where they are defined in the eIDAS regulation and so on. Again, we can download the list. And here we can see all the SSCDs, so all the secure signature creation devices benefiting from the transitional measures. There is also a button here if I want to open all the entries at once. And again, you see some structure information, such as the name, the device, who applied for the designation this device, then the designation report, who has issued this designation report, so who has attest the conformity of this device against the eIDAS requirements, reference to the report, an URL to download this report, an expiration date. When no expiration date is set, it shows to the user valid up to revocation. And then when relevant, there is also the CC certification report, so the common criteria certification report. So when the designation report is based on common criteria certification report, here this report is also displayed. Again, some notes. For the QSCD that are displayed in green to be differentiated with to be distinguished with the SSCD. Again, the name, the applicant, whether it's a remote QSCD or not. So if the signature creation data are managed on behalf of the user by a QSP, and in fact, when this device is remote QSCD, there is an important here to say that this QSCD can only be considered as a QSCD. So this device can be only considered as a QSCD when it's duly operated by a QSP in accordance with the eIDAS regulation. Okay, and so here, same thing for the secure signature devices. there is some information on the designation report. If it is a qualified signature creation device and a qualified seal creation device, there are two different fields. Who issued the designation report, the reference to it, the URL to download it, from which date it is considered as a QSCD, till an expiration date. If this device been certified against alternative certification process, an alternative certification process, and when it is the case, there is here the link to this alternative process, and as well the common criteria certification report. Same thing here as it is a qualified seal creation device. Okay, now about the designated bodies. Again, an explanation here. This designated bodies. Here information on each national designated bodies. So the name, alternative name when relevant, postal address, contact email, so on, and as well as a note here for national specificities. Finally, the last list, the list of alternative processes. So again, an explanation on these alternative processes and the list of all the alternative processes that has been notified to the European Commission. So the name of this process, who is the designated body, the URL to the alternative process, where it explains what is this alternative process, and again some notes. Okay, so maybe a last, we can introduce the last publicly available tool, which is the eSignature validation test cases. There is here a disclaimer saying that this page is dedicated for technical people. And so it proposes some fake LOTL and fake trusted list to validate the below signature. So in fact, if I click on download test cases, I will have three different signatures. Two of them are advanced electronic signature, and one of them is a qualified electronic signature. So the eSignature solution implementer can take these three signature as well as the fake LOTL and trusted list and compare if he has the same result. There is also another test case here with a lot of more inputs. And there is also here the detailed description of all the test cases available from this link. Okay, so I will log in again. Now I have access to all these menu items, and what I want to do, just browse the list of conformity assessment body. Let's imagine that I'm a representative from Austria mandated to notify information on the conformity assessment bodies. I want to notify a new body and change some information on an existing body. So what I will first do is to request my access via the service desk, and later ask for the representative of my member state to send an official letter to the DG Connect H4. And then I will have access to this notify menu entry. In this page, I will have to select my country and the type of list for which I want to notify new information. I have to check here whether I'm a representative of Austria mandated to notify information on the list of the conformity assessment bodies. Okay, I check it. And if I don't have access to this list of this country, when I will click on next, will be kind of rejected, saying that I don't have the right to access to the notification feature of this list. Here I have access to this to the notification feature of this list, so I can click on next, and here I see all the information that have been previously notified and that are available from the browse compiled list of notified DABs and eIDAS accredited caps. So what I wanted to do is to edit an existing body and add a new one. So I will first edit this one. So let's imagine that color change is this one now, and that this new for this field. Okay, and you will also notice here the tooltips. There is some explanation on each of the fields. So if you don't know what a given field is, you can always put your cursor on the tooltip and you have more information on the given field. Okay, so by modification there, then I want to add a new tab. So here it just test. I will do it on the acceptance environment, but anyway, I don't have the right to do it on the production environment, of course. There are also some sanity checks on these fields. So whether it's plugins by HTTP and so on. So it will be accredited starting on 4. Here I can select one. Yeah. So here I fill in all the mandatory fields. The other one are optional. And now I can validate, I can confirm changes. Okay. So here I can already see all the changes I made. It's green when it's the new information, and it's orange when it's a modified information. What I can do, if I'm not sure about one or another information and I want to notify this information later, I can extract this list in the XML format, and later when I will connect, I can import this XML and it will show me the same information as I see here. Okay, so now I finish my notification. I click on submit. Again, I can see here a summary of all the changes I made. So here it's in green, it's a new information. Here in orange, I can see the previous information and the new information. And here it's not even open because I didn't do any change. Okay, so this information are correct for me. I click on accept. The notification has been submitted. The information will be published after verification. Okay. Now, as the notifier, I receive an email, but the European Commission also receive an email saying that a notification is pending for verification. Okay, so now the notifier, so I'm done with the notification. So now I will be the subject matter expert. I just received an email saying that a notification is pending for review. So what I will do is to go to manage, receive notifications. I see here there is a notification received from Austria at this date with this notifier and this email address in case the notifier has to be contacted. And I can view the notification, and I have pretty much the same view as the notifier had. And I can also here put some notes internally. Okay, I can also extract the XML in case I want to discuss it with someone from the European Commission, and I can either reject, but here it's not really a rejection, except if the member state says you can reject the notification, I will do a new one. But I can also validate the notification. But anyway, even if I validated here the notification, I can still reject it later if the member state wants to. So here now I'm not the subject matter anymore. not the subject matter expert anymore. I will be the official from the DG Connect H4, and I just received an email saying that the notification has been reviewed. Now it's pending for publication. So when I will arrive on receive notification, I will directly go to publication pending. I see here who verified the notification as well. When it has been verified, the status is publication pending. I can view the notification. I have the same view here. I can even change the status. Okay, and can also check the information and finally publish the notification. Okay, now the notification has been published. The notifier is informed by email, and when I go to the compile list there, I see the new conformity assessment body test, and I see also the changes here. The URL is another one, and it's all in fact. Yeah, that's what the only change that I made. And so here is the process from the notification to the publication in order to make the notification available to the end users. I think that's it for the demo. So yeah, maybe we can maybe answer the question that has been asked in the chat, and then we will proceed with the next step, the EU Trust Service dashboard. I will stop sharing my screen so I can see the chat. So indeed, the recording will be shared to the workshop. Then there is a question about whether the trusted list can only be exported in XML and PDF format. Why is the HTML not supported? It can be. So you're right, it's not yet supported, but we can maybe in the future support this feature. In fact, about all the feature in the TM Manager, there will be soon a survey that will circulate where you can suggest this kind of feature, and it can be integrated later, of course. So thank you for this question. We will get back to you whether we will implement it and when. And you can, of course, if you have any other suggestion, you can create a ticket on the service desk and we will take it into account. If there is no other question, I suggest that we cover the next steps for the EU Trust Services dashboard. So maybe Sophia, if you can please share the presentation. Thank you. So about the next steps, we already introduced all the next steps during the TLSO workshop. Here we'll cover them again. So first, the release of the TM Manager. The new version of the TM Manager is now available on production, the EU Trust Service dashboard. And there is the legacy TM Manager, so the TM Manager that is available from WebGate. It is still available and it will remain available in case you are more comfortable with this kind of edition instead of the edition via use cases. But no more TLSO notification can be submitted via the legacy. So we prefer to collect all the notification in a single location, in particular the EU Trust Service dashboard, and not manage two locations for this notification. About the TM Manager also, as we received some feedback during the TSO workshop, please be informed that your feedback has been taken into account, and in particular for the export of the trust list in SHA2 format. It will be integrated soon, and as well as the update to the last version of the TLCC, so the trust list checker conformance. Then feature that I have already introduced before is the export of the eIDAS list in the PDF format. So currently we can only export the information in the XML format, which is not user-friendly. So later we will be able to download this list in the human-readable format, and in particular the PDF format. And of course, the previous format, the XML format, will still be downloadable as it is. We also intend to support the list of supervisory bodies. So this list is still notified by email and published on the Futorium. So we will support this notification, this list in the EU Trust Service dashboard. So the process will be similar as I just showed you. First, we'll need access to the EU Trust Service dashboard to notify the supervisory body, and then there will be a structure form, verification, and the publication process. We also intend to support eIDAS Article 17, so the notification and publication of the supervisory bodies main activity report and TSP summary of breach. For this information, the information probably won't be publicly available because it is defined in the eIDAS regulation that the European Commission should make this information available to the member states. The European Commission should not make this information publicly available. So we will analyze this process and suggest to the relevant people how this notification and publication could be handled in the EU Trust Services dashboard. So in fact, will be in particular the supervisory body that will be contacted and the Article 19 expert group. We also intend to revamp the pilot for the international compatibility of trust services. So we would like to better integrate the pilot in the EU Trust Service dashboard. Currently, this international compatibility pilot is available another tool. So in fact, if you go to the EU Trust Service dashboard, if you just removed EFDA from the URL, you will arrive on the home page of the EU Trust Service dashboard and this pilot, and you can browse it. If you don't find how to access this pilot, please don't hesitate to ask now in the chat, and I will show you here. Or you can also contact us via the service desk, and we will provide you with the link. And then finally, we also intend to improve the TL manager with some new helpers to ease the task of the TLSOs. We also intend to provide some contact-based support. So if a TLSO has a question on a given change or an error that is displayed, we'll be able to ask us for specific support on this specific change or this specific error. So for example, for a change, the TLSO may have make a change, and you can ask to the TLSO support, I want to make this action on my trust list. I want, for example, to withdraw a trust service. Is the change I just made correct or not? And the TLSO support will be able to know exactly what is the change and provide some support on it. Same for the error. Sometimes there is some errors or warning on the trustee list that are not easy to understand. And so what we intend to do is to provide more fields on the error with like a suggestion on how to solve this error, as well as some level of criticity on this error and so on. And we also, we also intend to improve the trust list checks. So how to solve an error and the time for resolution, in fact, is what I just mentioned. So in fact, that's it here for the presentation. What I suggest now is to like have a live question and answer time. But anyway, I would like to already thank you for your time. I hope that you like the tool. We will really appreciate your feedback on the tool, any feedback you would have, if it's good or bad, and any features that you would like to see in the trust service dashboard. We will be very glad to have your input on this and try to improve it. So yeah, that's it for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Xavier. We can dedicate some time for your questions. So if you want to ask something, you can use the chat. In the meantime, Tom, can you share the link for the slide in the chat as well?
The link for what? Sorry, Sophia?
The slide.
The slide, this slide or the user guide?
No,
I was talking
to
okay.
I was
Sorry,
talking
sorry.
to Tom.
Okay, sorry.
Voila, the link and the code are there.
So, this is the link that you can use in order to answer some questions regarding the workshop. You can use this code here. Let me present you also my screen. So you go to this website, and right here you write the code that we shared with you in the chat, and you can participate in this survey. So the first question is, are you interested in a physical meeting in Brussels when the situation permits, of course? We already have 13 answers. Let's wait a second. Okay, Tom, you can close the question and move to the next one. Do you believe notifications of eIDAS information via the EU Trust Services dashboard is a useful feature? Also, do you see any features that are missing for the moment? It's very helpful to have your opinion on that. Okay, I think we can move on to the next question now. Is the process from notification to publication clear enough based on what we present you today? Okay, let's go to the next one. Do you think you will need a dedicated or a more advanced training on using the EU Trust Services dashboard? Okay, and the last question. Are you planning to use the dashboard as soon as possible? Okay, I think we can close the poll. Thank you very much for your participation. As you can see in the chat, I have already shared with you a link. It's actually a survey that we conduct after each workshop that we organize. It will be very helpful to have your views and your opinion about this kind of workshops. Yes, it's going to take only 30 seconds, so if you can help us with that, that would be great. From my side, I would like to thank you for your participation. I don't know if anyone else has something to ask before we close the workshop. I don't see any questions in the chat, so I guess, yeah, okay. And thanks again for your participation. We are here to help you. You can use the service desk for any question you have. And thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much, everyone. And please don't hesitate to get back to us in the service eSignature service desk in case you have any question.